Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
I have a question for you today. Have you ever wondered why someone is defensive or even confused? Have you ever seen someone deny something that you actually know is true? Or do you find yourself making up a lie to avoid the truth? Believe it or not, we all use what's called defense mechanisms, and we use them to cope with unpleasant emotions in our life. Defense mechanisms are strategies that we use to really distance ourselves from being fully aware of unpleasant thoughts and feelings that we're just finding hard to tolerate. And it's a way that we avoid the truth and protect ourselves from things that we don't want to think about or that we don't want to deal with. And it can apply to a wide range of reactions from anxiety to insecurity. So you don't have to be trained in Freudian theory or even be a therapist to see that everyone from time to time engages in some sort of self-deception to really avoid uncomfortable feelings. Defense mechanisms are automatic, and they're usually unconscious processes or even acts by a person to hide a variety of emotions. And this can include anger, fear, sadness, greed, jealousy, passion, competitiveness, dependency, selfishness, and even helplessness. So the defense mechanism allows the unconscious thought or feeling to only be expressed indirectly and in a disguised form. So I'm going to give you some of the more common defense mechanisms, and I want you to listen closely to see if you're guilty of using them, because the truth is that we all are. The first one is denial. And this is the refusal to accept reality and then acting as if the painful thought or feeling doesn't exist. A good example is saying, "I'm not angry," when in fact you're seething, you're really angry. The next one is acting out. And this is performing an extreme behavior because you're unable to express yourself verbally. So instead of saying, "I'm angry at you," you may throw an object, start yelling, or slam the door and leave. The next one is projection. And this is a way of attributing one's own unacknowledged feelings to others. And a good example of this is when a spouse gets angry with their partner for not listening, when in fact it's the angry spouse who doesn't listen. The next one we've all heard about. This is called passive-aggressive behavior. And this is being aggressive toward others in an indirect way. And an example of this is being angry, but when asked if anything is wrong, you say, "No, I'm fine, but then give your partner the silent treatment. Now stay with me, because the next one is a little more complicated, but it's called reaction formation. And this is where you turn the feelings into its opposite. So an example is someone who hates their boss, but acts overly kind, overly sweet towards them because they can't deal with the negative feelings that they're having about their boss. The next one is displacement. And this is where you redirect your feelings to another target. And a good example is you hate your boss, but you take it out on your spouse. And here's one. It's sublimation. This is where you redirect the feelings into a socially productive activity. So instead of feeling angry, you write a poem about being angry. The next one, you've seen this often enough. It's called regression. And this is where you revert to an old, immature behavior to vent your feelings. So it's like having a temper tantrum at the salesperson trying to help you because you're angry because the clothes don't fit you. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is called rationalization. And this is where you come up with ways to justify the situation. Like, she's so mean because she cares so much. Or my husband's so jealous because he just loves me. Now, A healthy person is going to use a variety of different defense mechanisms throughout their life. So the question really becomes, when is a defense mechanism considered productive and when is it considered destructive? Well, it becomes destructive when the defense is used in a very rigid or inflexible way and it completely distorts reality. Or whether it really starts to cause a lot of significant problems in a relationship, because we can see how if you're not owning your feelings, it's going to cause a lot of problems if you're always projecting them onto someone else. You may never rid yourself of all your defense mechanisms, but by becoming more aware of how and when you use them, you'll be able to learn to express yourself more honestly and really more clearly and not have to hide behind your insecurities. So my point in bringing this up today is so that you too can become more conscious of them and therefore begin to make more constructive choices. Now, if you have a question about this or if anything else is on your mind today and you'd like to call in, I'm here for the next hour to answer your calls. And I will be here every Thursday afternoon between 2 and 3. And I look forward to talking to you. So just give me a call at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also send in an email question by going to Dr. Kim at drkimtaylorshow.com. So stay with me. I'll be right back after the break to take your calls. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
I'm here with Sandy Jacoy, our screener. How are you doing, Sandy?
I'm good. So good topic today. I have a couple questions for you. You ready?
I am.
Are you feeling defensive?
Are you?
Maybe a little.
Maybe a little, yeah.
Maybe it's a projection there.
Mm-hmm.
So can you say more, as people are learning about these defense mechanisms, and it's pulp culture, we talk about this stuff all the time, but can you say more about maybe what the cues are, the signs are, that one might be acting in a defense mechanism at any given time?
Well, I think first that it is important to know that we all use these and we use them every single day. And I think the goal is that it doesn't matter that you need to figure out which one that you are using. It is more important that you're just aware that you might not be telling the truth, or that what you're doing in the moment might be more about what you're feeling about yourself than what you're feeling about the person in front of you that you might be angry at. But most of it is that we do this when we are having a problem, trying to deal with the feelings that we're having. So it is really a way to hide from them, to hide it from ourselves, and to hide it from others.
Yeah, so I suspect that there's an element here. I know in my own life there's an element of courage that needs to come into play, to be able to sit with that and really be able to take a self-appraisal in that moment, when the natural reaction might be to be defensive or to blame or to project or any number of these defense mechanisms. You really need to be able to sit still with it for a second, be able to listen to that spidey sense, right? And then make a choice to do something different.
Yes, and I think this is something that we need to do as we're just trying to be more mindful and we're trying to be more aware about what we're feeling and what it is that we're doing in our life and how we are relating to other people. So just in case people missed it, we are talking about defense mechanisms, whether it is the ones that I spoke about in the open or whether it is some more of the more common ones, which is just, for instance, forgetting is a way that you're really denying what is going on. Lying.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
Defense mechanisms. So just whether you put things off, whether you're late all the time, whether you lose focus, whether you claim that you don't know something, all those are also more subtle ways in which we defend against knowing what we don't want to know.
Yeah. And it's obvious. I mean, if you're talking about addiction issues, you had
denial, yes.
Yeah, denial and rationalization and justification.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, and those come into play in any circumstance, I mean, to one degree or another, but I'm wondering if you have, in all of your years of experience as a psychologist and working with people, do you find one particular gets in the way in experiencing safety and closeness in a relationship? I'm sure they all do, but is there any one in particular that you think stands out the most?
I think I would say projection, because when people are unable to take responsibility for their own feelings, they often project them out and blame somebody else for doing the very same thing that they're not willing to cop to. And that is probably the one that makes it so confusing when you're trying to deal with someone, if they keep saying things to you and projecting things out about how they're feeling, but not owning them and blaming you for them instead.
And when you're in an intimate or even in a close relationship where there is a threat of being abandoned or being left, but also that pull to want to have safety and connection, finding a way to sort of sit in that and not jump into that is very difficult. And so what, if you could pull anything out, Kim, and I'm sort of putting you on the spot here, this is a hard question, but is there anything that we could take away from our conversation about this right now that you could give to our listeners about maybe making a step in the direction of staying still instead of going into that projection or blaming or any one of these things, so that there might be a way to do something different from here moving out forward?
Well, my thought about this is one that I talk about a lot, and that is to start to take more responsibility for yourself. And that means to be able to sit with your own anxiety and to really think it through as well as to feel it through, but not be so in a rush to get rid of it or to numb it or to project it out onto something or someone else. That we really need to be able to take responsibility for our own feelings. And once you are able to sit with your feelings, then you get to choose how you're going to react to it. So you don't just act out impulsively. That thought process will help you to choose, how do I want to respond in this particular situation? And once we can do that, and once we know that we have the power to do that, it changes how we relate to other people, and it changes our response to other people.
Okay, well, we've got some calls coming in.
All right, well, let's get to the calls. Sandy will be there to take your calls and pick up first and help you to form whatever question that you have so that you can come on air.
I will.
All right, Sandy. And we're on the air now with Terry. Terry actually is a return caller. She was calling because she was laid off from work, and she was really scared and very afraid about what was going to happen, and she was feeling like that just all of her fears were really getting her down. So we had talked about that. So welcome back, Terry.
I'm calling with great news. You had really helped me when I called. I was so scared and didn't know what I was going to do, and all the fears were totally taking over my thoughts, and you gave me a really good quote, and I just kind of put that in front of me every day, whether I think I can or that I can't. I was right, and I really changed the way I was looking at my job search. All of a sudden, I got a call, and someone called me in for an interview, and I walked in there not fearful, but confident that I could do the job and that it was going to be probably a good fit with my skill set. And the next day, I got a call, and I got the job offer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really, really excited, and I just really feel like it was because we talked, and it really helped me rethink everything and all my negativity and fear, and it just really made me think about all areas of my life, like, you know, how I have to look at things differently. If I'm totally consumed with the fear, it's not going to get me anywhere. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and I'm really excited, and I hope that it will continue in, you know, the other areas of my life.
Well, now you actually have proof, a positive, that when you can change the way that you think about something, it does change the way that you feel about it. Now, what I do recall about this call is you saying that you were so afraid that you weren't going to find a job as good as the last one you had. How are you feeling about this? Is it more money? Is it better position?
I'm feeling great about it. It is more money. It's not a ton of money, but it's definitely an increase for me. It's a lot closer to home, so my commute won't be as stressful, and just everything about it. I think I'm going to learn a lot of things, and I'm just really, really happy.
Well, we are all happy for you. Definitely.
Thank you.
There are always going to be times in our lives where things are going to fall apart, that they're not going to be the way that we think that they should. It doesn't mean that what's coming next is not better than what was. And oftentimes the truth is that it is. So thanks very much for your call, and have a happy job.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. And just to remind you, the quote that I gave Terry was, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Our thoughts are so powerful. And the one thing that we can control is our thoughts. So changing the way that you think about something is going to change the way that you feel about it. And therefore, it's going to change the way that you act and then the way that you present yourself to others. So I really want you to remember to be mindful of the thoughts that you allow to reside in your head. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Hi, this is Dr. Taylor, and we're on the phone now with Jean. Welcome to the program.
Hello. I have a long-standing problem, and I'm not sure you can help me with it because I've tried. I've turned everywhere in the world, and nothing seems to be able to help it.
Okay, what's going on?
It's a neighbor. It's a bad neighbor, and I live in like a complex of tract homes. They're close to tract homes that are 50 feet apart from each other. And his house is on the side of the wind, and it blows his smoke into my house, and it's illegal smoke. It's illegal drug smoke of all different kinds, very bad smelling, and some of it is really makes me feel sick. And I have called the police, but he seems to know how to stop when the police get there, so the police can't smell anything. And the police have been helping me the last year, 2 or 3, but it still goes. My problem is I'm woken up every night 2 or 3 or 4 times a night by methamphetamine, heroin, crack cocaine, and things I don't know. Some smell like BM. They're just really horrible smelling things.
Okay, Jean, do you have your windows open?
No, there's nothing open but the attic openings, 4 or 5 places around the top of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you have...
And I've talked to the fire department. They say you can't close those.
Okay, and do you have other neighbors who are bothered by this also?
I don't think so. The newest neighbors that are right next to me said that they can't smell it. Mm-hmm. But they walk about 20 miles a day and they sleep very soundly. Mm-hmm. But no, I haven't heard anybody else say that they complained about it.
Are there other people who live in the house with you?
No.
So you are the only person there?
They used to be, but they passed away.
And you have called the police, you've called the fire department, so you've done all that you could about trying to get help with this. Correct?
All that I can think of.
So what else is cooking for you in your life? What else do you have going on?
My mother passed away, then I took care of her a few months ago. So I'm in a grieving period, a mourning period.
Jean, I've been listening really closely to what you have been saying, and I really do not think that you are crazy, but I do think that you're suffering from a medical issue. You may be experiencing what's called phantom smell, and that's defined as smelling something that simply isn't there. There's a fancy name for it. It's called phantasmia, Phantasmia. And it is a lot more common than you would think. And often the people who have this report smelling cigarette smoke or rubber burning or other really very foul smells. So while it may be nothing to be concerned about health-wise, it could also be a symptom of something else that might be going on with you. So I want you to hang up now and go and call a board-certified ear, nose, and throat doctor. They will be able to help you with this. There are treatment options available for this problem, so I don't want you to ignore it. And I really want you to go out there and get the help that you need. Thank you very much for your call in here, and I wish you the very best with that. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
I have a quick note for you. There's going to be a change that these shows are now going to be rebroadcast on Thursdays at 10 p.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. That's a switch on Sundays. It used to be at noon, but now it is going to be Sundays at 9 a.m. So if you would like to talk to me live, I'm here Thursdays between 2 and 3. But also, if you can't reach me during that time, or that's not a good day for you to call, you can also reach me on Sundays when I will be taking phone calls. You can go to my website on how to contact me on that day by going to drkimtaylorshow.com. So live here Thursdays 2 to 3, and if not, then you can certainly reach me and just go to my website. So we're going to go to another call right now. Hi, Ann. How can I help you?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. I have just been involved in a family problem that disturbed me quite a bit. At the death of a relative, when the family were gathering to sort of parcel out the belongings of that deceased person, it became so electrified with acquisitiveness that it was almost impossible to proceed without causing further animosity among these relatives. And I found myself just standing there. I couldn't even think of what to say to keep myself from being caught as a witness to all this, or even a participant to start taking those things that I might actually have liked to have. I had to leave, finally, without anything, because it was so unpleasant. And now I wish I had known what to say, how to get through that without all that awfulness.
What was it that was so awful for you?
Well, everyone was fighting over things. Just as an example, a silver candlestick. Many people wanted it, and instead of bargaining or trading or something, they were using very harsh, angry, hostile words to one another. Things that will not be easily dismissed later.
Was this a surprise to you that they acted this way?
Yes.
Because in every other encounter you had ever had with them, they were kind and generous and civil?
Not everyone, but they were never this hostile, never this greedy, and it was just ugly, ugly stuff.
What I take is that there was no will to actually talk about what the distribution would be.
Well, there was for the bigger things, but I'm talking about household possessions now, and those were not parcel, no.
So you're actually talking about a very common problem is this can happen and often does happen within families. And as you found out, you're very surprised and very shocked when it does.
And I would actually like words to use to help me. I'm not going to try to fix all of them, but just to help me go to an event of that kind, do what I need to do, and get out of there.
What were you wanting by going?
Well, there were a couple of things that had belonged to this deceased person that I would have liked to have. They had no enormous value, and I probably could have gotten them without an argument from anyone else, but I couldn't stay long enough to do it because there were people fighting on the front lawn, shouting at one another on the front lawn, and other people in the house doing exactly the same thing and grabbing things.
Mm-hmm. And so by you seeing them, you felt what? That if you were to do that too,
uncivilized.
That is only one part of it. There's something else that triggered you, that when you saw other people really asking for what they need in a very aggressive way, what did you feel?
I did not feel that they needed those things. I felt that they just wanted them desperately.
What's wrong with wanting something desperately?
Well, because the next step was that they would have taken it, they would have fought for it without any politeness or caring about the other people at all. It was ugly.
Okay, but you were taking this and it is really triggering you. So I think it's important that you look at what part of this really bothers you. Asking for what you need if it will upset someone else. asking for what you need if somebody else will be angry with you?
I think the word that you're using, asking, is not what was happening. They were not asking for this. They were
demanding, wanting, bargaining, arguing, trying to get their way.
Arguing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting for it. I get a hint of what you're trying to ask me.
And what is that? What is the hint? What are you getting?
That I'm not asking for what I want in life.
Could that possibly be true? Could there just be some small sliver there?
Yes, it probably could be true.
Okay. And so, of course, when you see this in someone else, you really get upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not done with any, I don't need to take it on. I understand what you're saying. To have the feeling that this was more powerful than that it was.
Well, but let's look at this example as maybe just something from you to learn and grow from. That maybe what's true is why you got so triggered is, in fact, it is hard for you to ask for what you need. And the fear is that you will upset others and it will come out in an ugly way, and they will see you in an ugly way for having asked or having wanted or having needed something. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm sure that it does, yes.
So let's just look at still just that small part. What it means is that you know that you would never go to that extreme that you just witnessed. And yet, there is still a small part of you that also perhaps needs you to stand up a bit more for what you want and what you need in your life, and not be so afraid of how other people are going to think about it.
Have I been caught out? I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's true. Mm-hmm. It actually is true. For you to take this situation that I gave you, that bothered me so much, and reflect it back upon me as my problem, not theirs, is astonishing to me. I'll have to go away now and think about it.
Okay. And just think about this part also, is that sometimes there are things in life worth fighting for, and that we are worth fighting for. And when we have a passion or a need, or that we want something, we do need to speak up. We do need to be that voice, not necessarily in a way as you witnessed that was perhaps over the top and very cruel. But it's a good lesson for you to learn that maybe this is just that part of you that wishes in some way, some small part of you could also be so forthright when it came to taking care of yourself.
All right, Dr. Taylor, I will think about this very seriously.
Okay. Take care. Thanks for the call. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. I have an email here. It says, Dear Dr. Kim, I have a question about my mother, who is in her 80s and needing to make a move into a retirement home. How do I help her make this transition when all change scares her and she gets easily overwhelmed and doesn't want to talk about making the move and will not let us help her through this change? Signed, Kelly. Well, Kelly, there are a lot of things that I think that you do need to think about when trying to deal with someone who is older and when they have to make a change, because change does become much more frightening to them as they age. So the first thing I would tell you is you have to be really patient and you have to be really understanding. Let them know that this can feel threatening because they are letting go of what they know and they're trying to move into something that is unfamiliar to them. And then I think it's important in this process is let them know that you will be there every step of the way to help them. And then the main thing here is don't rush them. Really want to engage them in the process so that what you may want to do is visit the retirement home and then bring her back to her own home and let her get used to it. Because then the next time you go, take her for maybe a meeting or a meal there and have her meet some of the people. But then again, bring her back to her own home so she gets kind of eased into this and can get a sense of where she's going and what that's going to feel like for her. Something else I might encourage you to do is make a list of the pros and cons, because for her, it might also be good to see that letting go of being in a home and all of the chores and things that have to be done within a home, that she's going to be able to let some of that go, and that might feel good to her. You can brainstorm with her and make sure that you're making a list of what she needs to take with her and what will make her comfortable there. And then I guess the next thing I would say is that you really have to recognize that this is going to be a big shift in how they see themselves, and they may need to know that you still see them as capable and vital, and that letting go doesn't necessarily have to mean that you are seeing them as frail or weak. Then I guess the last thing that I would say to you is set up a time so that she knows when you're going to come and see her there, and that you will schedule that in, and that you will go and call her often and come in to see her there. So once more, trying to cope with change at any age is a big process, and you just need to do it step by step. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll-free at 866-564-1290.
Hi, this is Dr. Kim, and we're on the phone now with Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Dr. Kim.
What's going on?
Well, I have a problem I would like your help in overcoming. My daughter left home 10 years ago. She's 28 now. She was actually in the beginning of her senior year in high school when she, after a year of barely speaking to me, moved in with my ex-husband, her father. And the last time I spoke with her was July of 2010, and she called. She was so excited she was moving to Chicago. And I send cards occasionally. I think I have her number. I try calling, and I get no response. And I think about this daily. I'm having trouble retaining my composure, and I need to get past it.
What does getting past it look like?
Well, when someone won't talk to you, she lives in Chicago, as I may have stated. You can't force someone to talk to you.
What happened 10 years ago that she was barely talking to you? Let's start there.
Okay. Oh, how much time do I have? A number of things. When I didn't date when she was little and I started dating again when she was about 8, she asked me to find her a new daddy. And when she was younger, she would be mad at him. And he lived only 8 miles away, so there was no excuse for his not coming for visitation, which he would do regularly until she was 4 years old, and then he quit taking her on weekends and quit taking her on Wednesdays, and he never called her. He had virtually no contact with her whatsoever. Annually would be about it. And I, because of severe allergies, and had wanted to get out of a Midwestern state and move out here to California.
What happened between you and your daughter?
I think that's what's driving me crazy, Dr. Kim, because the answer is I don't know. We have never discussed it.
Okay, but Jane, wait. Back when this was all going on, there must have been conversations. There must have been anger. Daughters just don't suddenly not talk without saying something. What is your best guess about what was going on with your daughter? Because you really need to start there. You really need to know how she got hurt.
I don't know, and she is the antithesis of me, and she told me this once when she was 13. She holds everything in. In fact, virtually all of 2003, my daughter did not speak with me.
Why was she so hurt?
I have no idea, and we went to counseling. She said she was depressed, and at that time in the state we resided in, she was over 17, which meant that the counselor had the legal responsibility to not disclose the content of the counseling session. One counselor did say, "I don't think she'll ever like you." And And this was from a man who did not have children and did not have much experience in his field. And I think that's what bothers me so much to this day, is that I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong.
Okay, then Jane, Jane, do you make an effort to stay in touch with her?
Yes.
What do you do?
I call a number that I believe is hers. I've sent like birthday cards, Valentine cards.
Okay, but Jane, wait, just for a second, because I'm just trying to go back to see where it all broke down. You knew where she was when she left home. She went to her father's house. Did you still visit? Did you still see her? Did you make an effort then?
I have to tell you, Dr. Kim, that my ex-husband, and we have always had a contentious relationship, convinced my daughter that I never did anything for her.
How often did you see her?
After she left?
Yes.
In the 10 plus years, I have seen her 5 times.
Why?
And one would
Why?
Because she refuses to speak with me and she refuses to talk to me.
And have you ever written her a letter and said, "Dear daughter, I would very much like to have a relationship with you. Whatever I have done, I want to be able to apologize for. I would like to have some contact with you. Is there something that we could do to repair our relationship? That you miss her, that you would really like her back in your life, and that you will do whatever it takes in order to make that happen."
I cannot honestly say that I have written a letter that said exactly that. I have said it on the phone when I knew that I had her number. But anything that I have mailed has not received a response. And I've sent some beautiful cards. I told her that I loved her. And actually, there was one issue when she, I'll call it, ran away from home. Because she didn't get the house computer, she said she would never speak to me again.
That's not why she left. That's not why she's not speaking to you. There's something more. There's something deeper that is going on.
And I would love to know why my daughter was so angry with me, but she would never tell me.
There are 2 things that you can do here. I'm really trying to help you to move forward. One is that you can go and meet her where she is and to sit with her and to ask for forgiveness for whatever you have done, to take full responsibility for your part and be the person that goes to her and tries to make this happen. The second thing is, if you are at the point that you cannot or do not want to do that and feel that it is over, then yes, you do need to let go and wish your daughter well and to move forward with your life.
Okay, but one final question. If someone is so set against seeing you, how do you even arrange the meeting? And furthermore, I don't have the money to fly to Chicago and stay in a hotel and all of the things that would be required.
Jane,
Rent a car.
Jane, I don't feel that you're being entirely honest about what happened on your part. Yes, you have had a troubled young daughter, but you knew her for 17 years. Something terribly went wrong. If you're not able to if you're not able to get to that part, then I'm not sure that you can do the work that I'm saying to do with her, because she is not going to come to you at this time. You would have to be willing to go to her.
Whatever happened that caused the rift, I am not aware of what it is. And she refuses to speak with me.
My daughter has been upset with me before. We've disagreed. There have been things that have gone on. But I have to tell you, I would go to the ends of the earth and stay in her face and make amends until we were able to repair this. I would do whatever it took. And right now, you are more concerned about your hurt feelings and how she has pushed you away than you are about the pain that she has experienced.
When I have, in all honesty, absolutely no idea, that is a very hard thing to discuss.
You keep moving away from and not looking at your part. You want to blame other people, other circumstances. And what happened between you and your daughter was very personal. It's between you and her. It's something that you did, something that you said that could not be resolved with her.
I'm sorry. I think that's wrong. I think that's an incorrect conclusion.
It's very hard to talk to you. It's very hard to get you to admit anything that you might have done. And that all you want to do is just push it away, and even talking over me, what I am telling you is what it is that you're not looking to yourself. You are not taking responsibility, and you are not accepting that somebody else was impacted by what you did, and therefore they do not want anything to do with you because you will not accept any responsibility for that.
But I did try. I've been trying for years.
Jane, I've tried a number of times to try and reach you, but until you take ownership of this and see what you have done and hold yourself accountable, you have no place to start with your daughter. What I'd like you to do is try to listen back to this call. We are rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 and Sundays at noon, and see if you can hear how defensive that you are and how difficult it is to reach you. And if your daughter experiences you in this way, then she feels that you don't understand. So I would have you start there and try and see if you can find within yourself a way to take responsibility for this as a way to start the conversation with your daughter. And if not, then you are going to have to move on. Thank you very much for your call. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. So I wanted to, before we close, to add just a little more to give you a hint about what defense mechanisms are. So here are a few more. One of them is hoping, and that's hoping to be rescued. Another one of them is procrastination, and this means that we just put it off and put it off and put it off. Then being late is one, and that's about really being lost in your own life. Then there's the one about confusion. And this is where you really create a mess so you can't even find yourself. And then there's forgetting, because it's just a clear way in which we try to deny something that we just don't want to be true. And then there's not knowing, and you probably all know this one. It's when you ask someone what they think or how they feel, and they always say, I don't know. So we all must learn to be just more mindful and tend to our lives in a way that really brings more honor to our own truths. And we can do this by just recognizing those defense mechanisms that we use and try to just be more aware of it. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I do welcome your comments, and you can send in your emails to me at drkim@drkimtaylorshow.com. And you can also go to my website to find out how to download the podcast on iTunes or to listen to the past shows. Just go to drkimtaylorshow.com. It's all there. Then I do want to tell you that there is a change in the rebroadcast. I'm still going to be rebroadcast Thursdays at 10 p.m., but now it's going to be Sundays at 9 a.m. right here at KZSB AM 1290. And if you couldn't call in but still would like to talk to me, you can call in on Sunday, where I will be taking phone calls, and I will answer your questions then. You can go to my website once more for how to contact me and the phone number to use, and that's at drkimtaylorshow.com. So thank you to Sandy Jacoy, my screener, and Richard Dugan for helping me out here. I'm Dr. Kim Taylor, and I'm going to be back next Thursday afternoon between 2 and 3. And in the meantime, I want you to have a great week, and let me leave you with this thought. Nobody else has to change in order for you to get better. Now go have a great week.